This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to Talk Business and Politics Daily. It's Thursday, August 18th. Let's check out today's top stories. Breaking news out of Northwest Arkansas this afternoon. Mike Malone, the longtime leader of the Northwest Arkansas Council, the business group that's championed much of the coordinated growth in the fast-growing region, announced he will leave his post in mid-September. Malone will go to work for Tom and Stuart Walton, grandsons of Walmart founder Sam Walton. They're working on a variety of entrepreneurial and quality of life projects in Northwest Arkansas. Malone is a guest on this Sunday's Talk Business and Politics. Walmart's second quarter net income jumped 8.6% to $3.77 billion, compared to $3.47 billion a year ago. Revenue climbed higher, same-store sales up 1.6%, the eighth consecutive quarter of growth. The news was so good, Walmart raised its earnings per share guidance for the rest of the fiscal year. Mainstream Technologies will open a second location, this time in downtown Conway, the 20-year-old IT services firm announced on Thursday. The Conway facility will begin operations in September with 15 employees. With one current office in downtown Little Rock, Mainstream says it'll grow the Conway workforce by another 30 employees over the next 5 years. And those are your top stories of the day. You can check out a full read on those articles and much more at our website at talkbusiness.net. Still to come, Bryan Day with the Little Rock Port Authority explains what's at work at one of the state's busiest sites for commerce. We'll drill down into the latest healthcare news and a legislative Q&A with Representative George McGill. All of this when we come back.
First Security is here. Only here. So that means we're here, here, and here. Even here. And definitely here. Because here is where we want to be for you. First Security Bank. Only in Arkansas.
At Deltic Timber Corporation, we believe in the responsible creation of communities, in the development of neighborhoods that bring convenience and comfort to life, while respecting the beauty and delicacy of nature. Like the harmonious balance of environment and expansion found in the thriving communities of Chenal Valley and Chenal Downs in Little Rock and Red Oak Ridge in Hot Springs. Because the best communities in the natural state are the ones that help keep it that way.
In June 2014, Bryan Day was named the Executive Director of the Little Rock Port Authority. He now joins me to talk about some business going on out of the port. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to tell our story.
Let's talk about one of the big news that's coming out here is you guys just recently got a Tiger grant, $6.2 million. What are you going to do with that money?
We did, and we were shocked but really excited that we were able to compete on a national level, and that grant's going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to allow us to create a new dock with rail access. And while we can do that now, like grain to water or barge to rail or liquids or containers, it's really hard with our current infrastructure. This grant will allow us to create this dock that will improve efficiencies and effectiveness in loading or unloading those new commodities. I think it opens a lot of markets for us. The other thing it's going to do is allow us to build additional storage track. When our large industries are at capacity and we're trying to store unit trains or schedule unit trains to be brought in or taken out by UP or BN, we run out of track. So really what this grant does is it increases our capacity. Okay. It increases our competitiveness and opens new markets for us that we currently can't serve.
Let's talk about some of the good news on the river this year is that the tonnage up and down the river is greatly improved over last year by a 32% year-to-date increase because there was all of the heavy rains and the flooding a year ago, really only up about 1% from the year before that. Is this a little bit more of a regular year, and are you concerned with where tonnage is at right now?
I think that, we did have last year, the river was shut down for about 12 weeks with 2 flood events, and obviously that impacted the ability to move commodities on the river. Ironically, the Little Rock Port Authority had a record year in tonnage last year through some luck with scheduling, and we beat the floods with a lot of our early commodity delivery. I feel pretty good where we are now. We're on track with last year, which was a record year, so I think we're going to be all right. There's still some concerns in terms of the energy sector. You know, that a number of the businesses at the port depend heavily on energy sector business, and with low oil prices and the prices going lower, based on what I'm hearing, that I do worry a little bit about that. But as of today, I feel real good. The Little Rock Port Authority is still a big player on the Arkansas River system, and I think that people are realizing the value of moving those goods and products over the water.
And some good news this week for Wellspun. Got a big portion of a contract of a pipeline that make it through. Let's talk about the Panama Canal. People might not just equate the Arkansas River and the Panama Canal, but that widening of the canal has occurred, it's happened, and now there is an opportunity for more port business as a result of that. What are realistic expectations? You
know, that's a great point. And with the widening of the canal, it now will allow these mega ships with thousands of containers of durable goods and commodities to come from the Far East without having to go around, you know, the southern tip there. And the deep water ports like New Orleans, they're building infrastructure to accommodate those mega ships, which then in theory they could easily offload onto a river barge and bring it up the Arkansas River. I don't know exactly where I fall on that yet. My colleague at Tulsa, who has been in this business a long time, and I have the greatest respect for him, he believes that within the decade that container traffic on the MCARNs, the Arkansas River system, will be an everyday sight. It is obviously the cheapest way to move goods. It's the safest way to move goods. And if you can schedule in advance and place those orders, it's definitely the way to go. It takes trucks off the interstate. It saves fuel cost. And so, you know, this Tiger grant we talked about earlier, that's going to allow us to handle containers, and I'm optimistic for the future.
Let's talk about your strategic plan here. You guys have looked at some target industries that you want to see that will grow. You're doing some land development out at the port right now. Give me just kind of a 100,000-foot elevation view of what you're strategically trying to do.
Okay. Essentially, the port's out of land, so it's hard for us to compete and attract new industry. So the first thing we're doing is we're in an aggressive land acquisition mode. I hope to acquire over the next 12 months 1,500 to 2,000 acres to grow our footprint. Once that land's in place, and we did a strategic plan, and we've identified industry sectors that will use the river, that will use the rail, or support businesses that do use those assets.
What would be some of those?
We're looking at agriculture, we're looking at primary metals, advanced manufacturing, food production, chemicals, and those manufacturing type jobs, a little higher paying, a little more skilled labor that can grow jobs, which is our mission at the port. So with this new land and these strategic targets, you know, I hope that we're back together in a decade and we're out of land again, and we've doubled our employment and doubled our local investment.
No casinos, though.
No casinos.
All right, Bryan Day with the Little Rock Port Authority, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Roby, for having us.
Appreciate you as always.
All right.
All right, when we come back, a little look at healthcare, and we will have some legislative Q&A. Stick around.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
As Arkansas's population grows, so do our energy demands. But with the right mix of resources, reliable, affordable power will always be a reality. These resources are all around us in our rivers, blowing through our trees, even right below our feet. The answer isn't focusing on one resource, it's embracing them all. The electric cooperatives of Arkansas know that a balanced approach to power builds our communities and powers our dreams. Visit themixmatters.com and see why there's power in knowledge.
Every day on our website at talkbusiness.net, we're not only bringing you the latest widespread business and political stories, we also produce a lot of original content and a lot of in-depth stories on a variety of specific industries through our specialty microsites. Today we take a look at what's going on with our healthcare microsite, It is sponsored by the Arkansas Foundation for Medical Care and Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield. Arkansas Attorney General Leslie Rutledge opined that the state cannot cap enrollment in its Arkansas Works program. That was a question posed by new DHS Director Cindy Gillespie. Arkansas Works is Governor Asa Hutchinson's updated version of the private option Medicaid expansion program. Another story, the Walmart Foundation will support medical residency programs in Northwest Arkansas for Mercy Health, UAMS, and the Veterans Health System. The $750,000 grant will support the new Northwest Arkansas Community Internal Medicine Residency Program. And finally, if you missed my interview earlier this week with Arkansas Children's CEO Marcy Doderer, you'll want to go back and catch it. Doderer talked about growth plans in Northwest Arkansas, a rural school health initiative, and expansion in Southwest Little Rock, and a South Arkansas mobile program. You can catch those stories and much more daily in-depth reporting in the healthcare field on our website at talkbusiness.net on our healthcare microsite. You can find the industry microsites in the bottom third of our website. It's nice and organized for you by industry and by headline. I encourage you to check it out. When we come back, State Representative George McGill of Fort Smith, what is high on his legislative priority list? Find out when we come back.
Circuits turn on the lights by making a connection, by closing the loop. At Entergy, we believe our economy is circular too. What you put in comes back. So we invest billions in new infrastructure, which helps attract new industry, which helps create new jobs. We partner with local communities to electrify the economy. And together, we power life. Entergy.
You've likely heard of the Great Arkansas Treasure Hunt. In fact, you or your business may have property to claim in the hunt. But where does this treasure come from? Businesses like yours. The law calls it unclaimed property. If your business is holding money on its books that you've not been able to return to the owner, it's most likely unclaimed property, and the law requires it to be sent to the state auditor's office each year. Auditor Andrea Lee's office can make the process for businesses to comply with the law easy and straightforward. Help us help you return Arkansans' unclaimed property at auditor.ar.gov.
Representative George McGill is a two-term state representative from Fort Smith. He's the House Chair of the Aging, Children and Youth Legislative and Military Affairs Committee. McGill will be back in the 2017 session. What's the highest priority on his agenda? We ask him that and much more. All right, Representative McGill, your official name is George B. McGill from what I see. What does the B stand for?
That's for Billy.
Billy?
Yes.
All right, that's a good middle name. Let's talk about DHS Director Cindy Gillespie. She's new to the position. Do you think that, what have you liked or not liked about what you've seen? What's your assessment so far?
I'm doing an honest assessment, and that's what I tend to do. I like what she's bringing to the table for the state of Arkansas. She's been thorough in her deliberations and been very thoughtful in what needed to be done. And I think she's on the same page as most of my colleagues. I anticipate some good things coming out of her office, and through her leadership, we're going to see some great things as it relates to children and senior citizens. And as chairman of the Aging, Children and Youth Committee, that's very important to me.
Give me an idea of something you're going to be working on for the next legislative session, and maybe even something legislative-wise that you'd be willing to put your name on as a sponsor. You got any thoughts?
Our focus, particularly from this committee, has been foster care. And I think the governor has had his eye on that, and so has the legislature. So we're looking to see some good things come out of some legislation that will support foster care and how we deal with it in the state. As you probably know, Sebastian County has probably one of the largest populations of foster children. And I'm very excited about what we can possibly do to assist in that matter.
Talking about Fort Smith and the region as a whole, what do you think is the biggest issue, biggest challenge kind of facing that area right now?
I'll tell you what, probably, like everyone else, we're always looking for opportunity to attract new jobs. But I would say right now is to get a hold of our budget locally and and create some space between what's required and some things that we could do to make the quality of life better for the people of Fort Smith.
All right, and last question, who's your favorite Republican in the state legislature?
You know what, if I answered that, I'd get in trouble. Many of those guys are great guys, and I have an excellent relationship across the aisle. You can ask them that.
That's Representative George McGill. Always good to catch up with him. I thought he was going to jump in one of those phone booths and turn into Superman. That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. Thank you for watching. You can check us out online at talkbusiness.net for the latest in business and politics. Plus, follow us on Twitter at TB Arkansas or on Facebook or LinkedIn. Just plug in Talk Business and Politics to find us and follow. If you want to receive our daily email newsletters, they're free. You can receive them every morning in your inbox before 7 a.m. Just email me at roby@talkbusiness.net and I'll sign you up. And if you want to listen to a podcast of this show, perhaps on your commute to and from work, or in the iTunes store and on Stitcher, or you can just play us through your smartphone. I'm Roby Brock. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, take care.